Mike Owens with Inside Fighting, and it's always a pleasure to be joined by Grant Dawson, top-ranked UFC lightweight. Grant, always a pleasure, my man. How are things at you today?
Yeah, things are good, man. Just begging for a fight, trying to get a fight. I feel bad that we're talking and I don't have any fight news. I don't have any inside scoop for you. So I guess we're just gonna have to talk about our feelings or something.
Well, you're one of the guys who I can speak to without a fight and still have a good chat, so that's all good. But before we talk about the fights, are you getting into the podcasting world? I've seen the videos on Instagram. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm not really getting into the podcasting world. I think that fighting is no longer kicking and punching anymore. There's a side to it that I don't really like, but I'm gonna deal with, and that's the social media side. I kind of had a little revelation, if you will, the other day, and so I've really been focusing not just on getting better as a fighter, but getting better as a salesman.
What was the revelation, if you don't mind me asking?
Uh, one of my teammates has a very popular podcast, and I'm gonna start off by saying I have no ill will towards this teammate at all. Love the guy. Total honest mistake. Don't even care. It was more of a me thing. They went through the top 15 rankings and asked, like how does Paddy Pimblett do against each guy, and they ended up skipping me. And I'm number. They went 13 and then 15. And look, I get it totally.
Mm.
This is I'm a big believer in accountability. So this is my fault. I kind of have the revelation that even if my friends are forgetting that I'm in the top 15, people who don't know me are probably forgetting I'm not I'm in the top 15. So I'm moving more towards trying to sell myself as a fighter and show people that I do deserve getting a title shot. I don't want to have the route where I have to fight every single contender under the sun just to get a shot at the belt. I want to be a fan favorite, and I'm going to be.
I wanted to ask you about this actually, so it's interesting that we've got onto this topic so early. But like, there's a trade-off, isn't there? Because I haven't spoke with you as many times as I have. I know how nice of a guy you are. I know how respectful, and I know it wouldn't be in your style to start trash talking people and kind of developing a persona. But those guys who do develop personas do seem to get moved up the rankings slightly quicker. So there is a bit of a trade-off there. I'm not by any means saying that you're going to develop a Colby Covington like persona, but there is a trade-off there which it feels like you're acknowledging.
Right. And I don't think that there's necessarily a persona.
Mm,
I have two very strong rules when it comes to trash talk. It's got to be true or it's got to be funny. So as long as I
mm.
stick to those two things, I think I can stay true to myself. Colby Covington, listen, everybody thinks that he went down a trash talking um I don't know what the path, and that's
Yeah.
that's why he's falling off. The truth is he started talking trash on his own people.
Mm.
I'm a big believer in we don't kill our own. So you start talking trash on your own coaches, your own teammates, your own gym. Of course, you're going to get kicked out of that gym, and of course, you're going to go to a lesser gym that doesn't care about those types of things. And of course, you're not going to get as good of rounds. You're not going to get as good of training partners and coaches. So as long as I stay true to myself, as long as I mean it or as long as it's funny, I'll say it.
With that being said, talk me through your recent call out of Michael Chandler on
I
Twitter.
was I was wondering when we were gonna get to that.
Mm.
Yeah, man, I just I'm kind of sick of people thinking, I don't even think people think he's good. There's a 123 lightweights in the UFC alone, and you guys are telling me that he's the 12th best. Like, get out of here. The dude's 38 years old. He's got two wins in the UFC. One of them's over a seven-fight losing streak, Tony Ferguson, and the other one's over Dan Hooker before he had tattoos. So, like, I really don't see why people are still keeping him in the top 15. He doesn't belong in the top 15, and he 100% should have a fight against me, BSD, somebody along that level next.
We've been talking about this fight, and you've certainly been talking about this fight on not only interviews with me, but other interviews. Do you think Michael Chandler has seen the noise from you about this potential fight? Do you think he's seen or maybe even acknowledged it?
Absolutely, he's seen it. I know he's seen it.
Hmm.
I know he's seen whether he. puts any weight behind it or it makes him lose any sleep at night, I doubt. But I see the things people say about me, and I see the call outs, and I respond to some of them. I don't respond to others. I totally get it. I totally understand him not wanting to fight a guy like me. I've literally got not even a third of the following that he has, but I'm way better than most of the guys that he's fought. So, and I made that post, and a lot of people are saying like, oh, you've had an easier route. He's fought the gauntlet fighters and you haven't. And I keep telling them the same thing. The gauntlet fighters have turned me down. Me not fighting those guys is not my fault. I have said no to 3 fights in my entire life, and all 3 of them were teammates.
Mm.
I'm down for these guys. If they call me tomorrow and say, "Hey, Justin Gaethje, hey, Fiziev, whoever," the answer is yes. As long as he doesn't train at ATT, the answer is sure. Let's do this. Let's go.
Mm.
So I really hate it when people are like, "Well, you haven't fought anybody." No, the anybody's won't fight me.
Yeah. Yeah. You haven't had the opportunity.
100%. That's all I'm asking for. That's
Mm.
all I'm asking for. And it's so funny. It's like Michael Chandler, fight me. And then they're like, you haven't fought anybody. It's like, motherfucker, I'm trying.
Yeah.
What do you think I'm doing? I'm trying to fight him like that. What do you want me to do? Like, go call out a nobody? Like, if I call out a nobody, you're gonna tell me I'm running from
Yeah.
these guys. And if I call out these guys, you're saying I haven't fought these guys.
Mm.
Let me fight. Let me bang, bro.
So we've talked about Chandler, but let's talk about the other half of that UFC 314 co-main event. Did Paddy Pimblett change your opinion based upon his performance in Miami?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I think he's gotten better. I think he's gotten a lot better. I think that he is better than most of the division thinks he is, but I think he's way worse than the fans think he is. I do acknowledge that as my friend Money Moicano would say, not so easy money.
Mhm.
He's not easy money for sure, and he's definitely getting better. And he's young. Me and him are about the same age. I definitely think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I've never called out Paddy Pimblett. I've never asked to fight Paddy Pimblett. It doesn't make any sense for Paddy. So I'm trying to be realistic, and I think the number one realistic best step forward for me is Michael Chandler.
Assuming I don't mean to be negative, but assuming past his prologue and Chandler doesn't accept the fight with you, assuming it gets offered, give me, say, 2 or 3 other names who you think would make the most sense for you next.
Well, unfortunately, if it's not Michael Chandler, I think that it's going to be somebody outside the top 15. And the 2 guys that make the most sense to me are Nasrat. I don't know how to say his last name.
Haqparast?
Asariki. How do you say it?
Haqparast?
That, yeah. Nasrat, who's on, I believe, a 5-fight win streak. Or I'm going to butcher this again. I'm so sorry, guys. I am not trying to disrespect you. Faris Ziam,
Mm?
the French
Yeah.
dude. I think he trains at Killcliff. Again, 5-fight win streak. Just beat Mike Davis, who I think is a phenomenal fighter.
Mm.
So those guys make sense to me. Those guys I would love to fight. I'm in on that. I just want to get going. I am a little frustrated. I am a little frustrated when it's like I beat somebody and all of a sudden that guy wasn't as good as we thought he was. You know
Mm.
what I mean? So like
Mm.
give me somebody that if I beat them, you guys are gonna be on board with me.
100%. How many times do you anticipate being put in a guillotine throughout the next 2 months in the lead up to Dustin Poirier's retirement fight at UFC 318?
Well, if me and Dustin go together, I definitely think he'll catch my neck
Mm.
pretty often. But if he's fighting Max Holloway, so I can't imagine he'd be training with me as much. I'm gonna try to take him down and hump his leg. Uh, I think we got a lot of really good strikers in the gym. We got a lot of good guys. And dude, let's not forget Dustin has beat this guy twice already.
Mm.
So he knows how to prepare for Max Holloway. If he needs my help, I'm always there. If he says, "Hey Grant, can you come in here and can you strike the entire time?" The answer is going to be yes, but you're probably not going to get pushed too hard if I'm striking the whole time.
How does it work? Because when I see like your Instagram photos or the guys in the gym, it seems like you train with similar kind of guys day over day, week over week. How kind of often is that? Or when you get a name, when you get an opponent, do you seek out the person in the gym who has the most similar style?
Yeah, so we go by like class. If I don't have a fight and it's a wrestling day, I'm probably going with Gamrot. I'm going with Armon when he's in. I'm going with my boy Dakota Bush,
Hmm.
Francis Marshall, these guys. And you know when Dakota, or sorry, excuse me, when Dustin is in too, you know he's in the wrestling class. I'll go with as long as you're not trying to hurt me, I'm in. Like I don't mind losing. I just don't want to get hurt.
Hmm.
So I'm down to go with whoever. And then when I have a fight, it's a little bit more specific. So if I'm fighting Faris Ziam, who's a 6'1" Orthodox striker, going with somebody who's 5'5" Southpaw wrestler, probably
Hmm.
is not, the best look. Now, if it's that or don't go with anybody, I'll take those rounds. But I really like to get as close to the guy that I'm fighting as I can.
For a young fighter, and I'll still call you a young fighter because I think you're 29, 30. I think that's right.
I'm 31.
31. Still a young fighter. Certainly in terms of the game. I know you've had quite a lot of fights. Being around somebody who's done as much as Dustin Poirier has done in the lightweight division, how much has that helped not only your development and your skill building as you kind of take things forward in your career?
Oh, it's huge. I've been on the same card as Dustin twice now. And so I've gotten to see Dustin prepare for the highest level,
Mm,
twice now. And I've gotten to see somebody that's fighting at the highest level preparing. And I see that we're doing a lot of the same things. Obviously he's a little more striking focused and I'm a little more grappling focused, but there's not a whole lot different. I really believe that at the high level, how well you problem solve and how smart you are in training is the two things that are going to take you the farthest, and it's really hard. It's really hard too, because you run into, do I take today off because I'm sore or do I push through it? And
mm,
it's such a hard question to answer because, you know, am I being lazy or do I really need this day off? And that's such a difficult question to answer. And I think you can really only answer it when you fought as long as somebody like Dustin Poirier has
mm.
fought. I'm relatively young, but I've been doing this since I was 15, which means I've been doing this for 16 years. I've got the bank account built up to where if I say I need a day off, I can trust myself to know, hey, I actually need this day off.
Yeah, 100%. Talking about the highest level and the highest level in the lightweight division, there are a lot of rumours about the champion Islam Makhachev moving up, dependent on Saturday night's result. We are obviously filming this before UFC 315, but how would you rate Islam's chances in a move up to welterweight?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think that if Jack does win, Islam beats Jack. I don't think he beats Bilal. A lot of people, you know, don't like Bilal, whether it's because he's a little bit more boring or his political beliefs or his religious beliefs, whatever it is that you don't like Bilal Muhammad. A lot of people don't like him. You have to admit, though, he's a damn good fighter.
Mm,
He's got crazy good cardio. And a lot of people don't know this. He's got like a 90 or 85 or 90% takedown
yeah.
defense ratio. Like he has got very, very good takedown defense. Um, we saw Islam struggle with a 145er that had really good takedown defense. I just can't imagine him going up, adding 15 pounds to an opponent and looking better. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
it
I
does.
don't think a move up for Islam is a good idea. But that's just me.
Are you more interested in the potential Islam Ilia fight or more interested in Islam moving up to 170?
Personally, I'm more interested in moving up to 170. I think that he would beat Topuria decently easy. And I know I'm crazy for saying that because everybody loves Topuria right now, but Michael, excuse me, I got Michael Chandler on the brain.
Yes.
Bryce Mitchell took down Ilia Topuria and kept him down, and we saw what happened after that. But I just can't imagine you add the size and technique and strength and cardio of Islam Makhachev and say that he's not going to get it done.
Mm, yeah. Last question from me. I think I probably asked you this one before, so you might know what's coming here, but we're at the start of May 2025. What are your goals for the rest of the calendar year?
Man, I want to fight twice, whether
Mm,
it's against Michael Chandler twice or it's against two nobodies. I need two more fights in. getting on a good, nice little 5 fight win streak, and I think top five title shot will be close to the end of next year. I really believe that if I can get these 2 fights in, no matter who they're against, by the end of 2026, I will be the number one contender.
Would you rather fight Michael Chandler twice or fight two nobodies, quote unquote?
I'd rather fight Michael Chandler twice, just back to back, big paychecks.
Mm.
Everybody's gonna tune in, and he's probably an easier fight, to be honest. As long as I don't get knocked out in the first round, which absolutely could happen, I think it's a pretty one-sided fight.
Mm. We'll leave it there. Grant, always a pleasure, my man. I appreciate you making some time for me. Have a great rest of your day, and hopefully look forward to hearing some fight news from you soon, my friend.
I appreciate it. You'll be one of the first to know when I have fight news. Enjoy your time with your family.